Yes, she said.
Yes, we are in record mode.
Yes.
So, welcome, Annie,
Thank
to
you.
this podcast. And I like to start every podcast with lighting a candle and bringing in a quality that you would like to bring in for today, for the podcast, for the world, whichever, however big you want to go. So,
Lovely. Well, I would like to bring in empathy today.
empathy.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, empathy.
Empathy.
Awesome. There we go.
Lovely
There we
God.
have it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, welcome, and I can't wait to have this podcast with you. So, the reason I asked you, Annie, in the first place was because I've watched your journey from, I'm going to say this from the day that you and I plucked you from the one hotel, dragged you down the road to the next hotel in Peru, and we sat together and watched the hummingbirds in the hotel garden because
Mm.
you were saying to me, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what am I doing here. I don't even know if I want to be here. And it was like one of those moments of kind of despair in a way, but um, somewhere I just always knew that, yeah, that you were supposed to be there.
Yes.
So, and look where
Yeah.
you are now.
Well, yes, I think looking back, I was incredibly lost. Uh,
Mm,
it had come at a difficult after a difficult time, and I had given up my job as a midwife um, to look after my sister, who had been diagnosed with a life-limiting illness. And yeah, I had cared for her, and then sadly she died, and the family fell apart, and I couldn't go back to work because it was the same team who looked after her as the team that I
mm,
worked with. So, gynecology and obstetrics, it was the same team. And I felt a lot of resentment that they'd let her down. And then, so I left my job, but I didn't know who I was anymore. I'd lost that identity of, being a midwife, getting up in the morning, going to work and all of those sort of things. And I had found you um, through an advertisement in the Cygnus Review.
mm,
Um, so I had been exploring sort of spiritual development because when my sister became poorly, there was so much fear, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. That she was poorly, that she was dying. We weren't allowed to mention anything. It was like
mm,
too painful. And so there were lots of things that I hadn't been able to say, that I love you, thank you for being my sister. She'd been like my second mum when I was growing up. And
mm,
it was, yeah, it was so difficult to not be able to say those things. So I had explored some spiritual development, mediumship. And through that, I got the Cygnus Review, and that was where you were advertising at the time. And um, uh, she never came through any mediumship evenings or anything like that. But it was like the path to working alongside you and studying energy medicine was the next step for me.
mm,
And I hadn't realized when I came to my first South class how broken I was until I stepped in there, and yeah, it was it was like a huge unraveling, really. Uh,
Yeah,
and now I can look back at it and think, oh gosh, that's exactly what needed to happen. But at the time, there was, if that's all gone, well, who am I now? Um,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we went
it's
to Peru, um, I think I had just done my West class, so there was lots of shadowy bits showing up, and yeah, it was an interesting interesting time. But yeah, it was so cathartic, it was amazing. So, but sitting
yeah.
in the
I
garden with you, looking at the hummingbirds was just awesome, wasn't it? Just,
mm,
because we snuck in there, didn't we? We
we did.
we
It
were
was
not
not
meant to
our
be.
hotel. No, it's just that I knew because I'd been there before, but I knew that was the hotel we needed to go and watch the hummingbirds because I knew that's where they were. And for me, the hummingbird is the next step on the journey, because you've done the South, which is all about shedding that old skin that doesn't fit anymore. And then the West is about shedding the stories that we tell ourselves. And then, yeah, who am I then? But the hummingbird is just gives us a sense of hope for something new, for birthing something new. And
Yes.
so, back then, I mean, we are talking a long time ago, aren't
It's,
we?
it's a frighteningly long time ago, actually. Yeah, it was 2013.
Mm,
Yeah, so but so much has changed and blossomed and evolved in that time. My views of myself, but also my place in the world has changed, and it's been an amazing
mm,
journey actually since then. Stepping away
mm,
from the very rigid um, health service. This is what you do because this is what science says, but to then explore um, health and well-being from a different aspect, has just been so enlightening, really. So
yeah. And then you wrote your book,
I did.
Wise and with Child. I just love that title. And that kind of says to me that, talking about empathy, actually, that to be empathic to women who are going through a really tough transition
Yeah.
from your maidenhood to motherhood and the whole thing, the bundles of stuff that's wrapped around being pregnant to giving birth. It's just, yeah.
Yes, I do think it is possibly the most transformational time apart from birth and death. I think, because you're never the same. You can't
Mm,
be the same, can you?
no.
Because your whole reason for being changes when you have somebody that you need to care for, that you want to care for,
Mm,
that you love, and it has come
mm,
from you. And I just, when I first wrote the book, so that was the first edition, so to speak, um, I wanted to, I wanted women to understand that they were wise, that they had that wisdom within them, the wisdom that connects them to women, their ancestors, because for everybody you see has been through birth, haven't they? Every mother has been through birth, and it's like, and it connects them. And and with that connection comes a wisdom that I think we hold in our bodies. And I wanted to share that with women and to empower them to be able to trust their bodies and to trust what was happening. And to fully accept the medical care that, we offer, but to be able to, alongside that, trust what's going on for them and to
mm,
listen in, to connect deeply with what's going on for them. And
mm,
and I also wanted them to be able to be a part of um, the decision making, when they went to their appointments and things like that, that they would have the knowledge to be able to ask questions, because I'd seen and I know that many people will sit there and they'll just nod and they might sign consent for things like that when they have very, very little idea of what each
Mm,
they've just signed for. Um,
mm,
and I just felt if I could impart some of my knowledge in a way that they could understand it, that maybe that would help them. So my
mm,
first edition was absolutely crammed full of information, too much information, really. And and I published it, and then I didn't really ever do anything with it. It was there, um, and then I thought, oh, who am I to write this book?
ah, yes, yes, that
Oh,
old
yeah,
chestnut.
it's that old chestnut. And eventually I withdrew it, and I sat with it, and then life got a little bit busy, and yeah, I didn't, it was there in the background and kept tapping me on the shoulder, and eventually I listened, and I have really loved picking it apart and uh rewriting, taking out the bits that were too much, um, and in a way, it feels like the book I would have liked to have written however many years ago. Um,
Mm,
and it's much more about the trust and the breath and grounding and just wholesome, beautiful um, ways of being, and
mm.
I just, yeah, I'm quite thrilled actually. So
I can tell. I can
yes,
tell.
yeah, I
And
know.
also, it is a wonderful thing because for many women, and I can go back to my own experiences of giving birth. So the first time round, it's like you have no idea what to expect, And for me, it was, I listened to the doctors, the nurses, the midwives. I did as I was told. I mm, had probably the worst birth experience anybody could have because I wasn't in charge.
No,
I had no idea. Well, and also I had no idea really what to expect. You go to antenatal classes, and you do your breathing and so on, but something else takes over. Your body takes over, and you're listening to people who have got a slightly different agenda to the one that your body is wanting
yeah,
to express. And I get it because the system is all about health and safety and keeping people safe and so on. But it forgets that, like you say, there's a wisdom in the body that women intrinsically have, but that gets overridden by, especially the first time round, by the fact that you're scared, you don't know, there's well, I have to listen to what these big people are telling me.
yeah. The
And
knowledge ones.
yes, exactly. So I had that experience, and then it was 6 years later when I decided, well, I didn't decide, but then I had my second child, and it was a completely different experience because by then it was like, I'm not having that experience ever again. Now I'm in charge. Now I know what I want. I know what I need. But of course, I'd already been through
Yes,
the first one with
yes,
I don't know what's going on here.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that by the time you have your second one, you're more you're more in charge, and it's a for me it was a completely different experience.
yeah,
And even though the doctors and the nurses and the midwives were saying, get on the bed, lie down, I'm like, nope, I'm standing up. I am
yeah.
standing up. That's what my body needs to do right now. And
Right.
that's more or less how I gave birth. Like,
Brilliant.
and it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
So if only, and this is why I love your book, wise and with child.
Yeah.
You know, that wisdom lives innately in us, and all we really need is somebody to walk alongside us, hold our hand, and say, you know, what you're doing, what you're wanting to do here is okay. You
Yes.
know, this is, and in olden times, you would have grandma, auntie, some next door neighbor. They all have been through it. Like you say, every woman has been, every person who's been born has been through the birth process.
Ye-
And every
Yes.
woman who's given birth knows what that feels like. So, but we've individuated, we've got nuclear families, and we don't have that. And even if we do, I remember saying to my mum, and I'm sure other women have said, your ideas are so out of date. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, of
uh,
course, you
mm,
back in the day, babies were born at home, weren't they? I mean, that very few were born in hospital, but it was only
yeah.
of the the patriarchy of the health service that said we need you to come into hospital to keep you safe. Um,
Mm,
and from
yeah.
there, they established the rules, like get on the bed, get undressed,
Yeah.
a gown on. Um,
Yeah.
and you become a patient and you become compliant. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
because you dare not. I mean, it's similarly for me. When I had Jess, I wasn't a midwife. I was still nursing at that time. Um, and yeah, I did as I was told because that was the system, you
Yeah. Exactly. It's what you
and
do, isn't it?
yeah, it's what you do. And I went to antenatal classes and I can remember sitting watching this screen, probably about the size of my laptop, with like a black and white video. And it was very, very middle class and very black and white and shows my age, doesn't it? But and I thought, well, that looks quite easy actually. And of course it wasn't. I wasn't prepared for it. I had no idea. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, it wasn't a positive experience for me either. Um, and I had a lot of questions about why certain things happened. Um, because yeah, I didn't understand why it all got to this emergency at the end. And I was fortunate that when I did my midwifery training, a few years later, I was able to go through my notes and and understand it. But I only ever understood it from a medical perspective.
mm,
It wasn't until, I've begun to explore other modalities and healings that I've been able to see it from a different perspective. You know,
mm,
um, and I have a much, much better understanding of that and a different trust or a trust, which I did probably never had, but a much better place to be. And my feeling was that if I can share that um, with women, maybe they will get it before they enter into the actual birthing. So
yeah.
yes, it's it's been lovely to do, and I yeah, I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to revisit it because I do feel that it's like my legacy. It's something I can leave. And if it touches, if it enables people, if it touches their lives, if it enables them to step into motherhood confident and trusting their own bodies, then it's done the job.
Mm,
That's
absolutely.
what it feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And in a way, it's like giving women that confidence. And in for me, that confidence brings a kind of sense of mm, having sovereignty over your own body and
yes,
also your own process,
yeah,
so that, and that's got to make a difference to the way that children are being birthed into the world as well. not not from a place of fear, but a place of real conscious presence,
Yes. Yes.
and what a difference that makes to the
Yeah.
child.
Yes. Absolutely. What is going on for the mother is bound to have an effect on the baby.
Mm,
And you mentioned fear. Well, fear and adrenaline stops birth, and therefore the
mm,
the sort of cascade of intervention that might follow as a result of, a stoppy, starty sort of birth, or
mm,
where the contractions begin to sort of become a bit weaker, and then they start to augment it and everything like that. So yeah,
mm,
it's going to have an effect. And I love the word sovereignty. I think, if women, well, if we could all just own ourselves, our own bodies and our
mm.
power and our own, who we are in standing in the world, I think that's a good thing. I think that's the best thing.
Yeah.
I think it has would have such an effect in, how one sovereign being meets another sovereign being, because they're not trying to outdo each other. They just come to each other as themselves, present
Mm,
and conscious. And I love that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. And so you've kind of also gone from birth and transitioned into working with people who are dying as well. So how did that happen?
Oh well, I back in my well, throughout my nursing, I've sat alongside people who have passed, who have been terminally ill. I spent a number of years in A&E, so there was traumatic death. I worked as a palliative care nurse, so alongside people who were highly medicated, in their final stages. So I have always had an experience with death, and even in midwifery, sometimes sadly, there is death, and
Mm,
that there. So it's always there. It's always in the background, so to speak. But um, a few years ago, when my mum died, and we came to arrange her funeral, through COVID and other things that were happening at the time, she'd lost contact with the church that she'd been, a member of. A big part of her life was the church. And so the funeral arranger said to me, "Well, of course, you can always do her funeral." I went, "Oh no, I can't do that." But it actually, once I'd got over the initial sort of feeling that I couldn't do it, we did do it as a family. And I was told you have this amount of time and you have these pieces of music, and I narrowed it down to the last sort of millisecond so that we didn't go over the time that we were allowed. But it was a really beautiful thing to do for her. And it was a ceremony that was full of love and laughter and, yeah, a few tears, but it really told her story. There was no mention of God, actually. It was all about her, um,
mm,
and us, and it
mm,
was really, really special. So as a result of that, people said, "Oh, you should do this." And I, no, I couldn't do it for other people. Doing it for mum was one thing. But, as happens, synchronicities and all that, I was offered a job as within a funeral directors, um, as a funeral arranger. So, I was supporting families that were coming in. They just lost their loved ones, and helping them to create ceremony for their loved ones. And then, I said, oh, well, maybe I could do this. And I
mm,
started to do little services for the funeral directors. And as a result of that, I then trained as a funeral celebrant. And so that's part of what I do now. I support families in creating the ceremony they want, their farewell ceremony or their celebration of life,
mm,
or maybe it's a 20 minutes service at the crematorium, but whatever it is that they want and they feel
mm.
is right for them, then I do that. And I love that. I love to be able to tell people's stories because
Yeah.
I have such a feeling that, every life means something. Every life matters. Everybody who's walked this earth deserves their time to be able to be celebrated or spoken about or
Mhm.
said goodbye to, in the way that feels right. And I do feel that um, there is now more people choosing what they call direct cremations, where
Mm,
you the deceased is taken to a facility, and I can only call it a facility because they're huge. Um, and they are cremated and then they come back. So there's no ceremony, there's no goodbye, there's no opportunity to chat about them, to raise a glass to them or anything. And I feel that that is so sad, so sad.
mm. It's a, I think it's a really big missing piece,
Yeah.
actually. And, to go back to our West class, when we do what we call kitchen talk, we do our death work every direction, but in the West particularly, it's like we do our kitchen talk where people gather, they tell the story of that person, what their challenges were, what they meant to each of the people that were there in the time. And it's like such a beautiful thing. And I know because there was one year when I was going through that process myself, and the person who was doing facilitating mine forgot the kitchen talk, so there was no kitchen talk. And it's like I couldn't leave. I couldn't go on that great journey. I was like, stuck. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I wonder what happens, to those people who don't have that celebration or the memories or the story of their lives spoken out loud.
Yeah. I think that you're right. I think that is the missing piece. And I think that is so sad, you know,
Mm,
because it almost devalues what being a human is, doesn't it? If there's nobody there to to share your moments, your achievements, your victories, and your sad moments, but to
mm,
chat about them and to laugh about them and remember them. And I think,
mm,
yeah, I think it's it, it's a convenience, isn't it, to do it that
mm,
way. But I know that within my village here that we've had a number of um, people who've chosen to do that, and I fully understand why people would do it from a financial aspect. But it's
mm,
like they disappear, they go.
mm.
There's no celebration, there's no remembering. So it's like they leave a hole almost.
Yeah, but it's as if they never were.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like that person then did not exist here
Yes.
because their story does not has not been heard.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very sad. And I'm
Mhm.
speaking with other people in the village, and they'll say, I think it's such a shame because we never got to say goodbye or we never
Yeah.
raised a glass. And as I say, for some, I think it's a financial thing. And maybe some people will come and have a celebration of life, a party for their loved ones.
Mm.
um, at some point. But I think almost once it's done, they get forgotten. So
Yeah,
the party
exactly.
doesn't happen. And I think, yes, that's
Yeah,
very sad. Mm,
yes.
yeah.
Because there could be a memorial service or something like that, couldn't there? But once it's done, it's done. It's out of
Yeah.
sight, out of mind. And I
Yeah.
think very often that's what we have thought about death anyway. If we don't, like you started saying about your sister, we don't talk about it. It's a taboo subject.
Yeah.
And so it gets pushed down and shoved away, and inevitably it will come out somewhere.
Yes.
But because it has to.
Yes. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I understand that. Yes.
Mm,
It's a shame, isn't it? But I do a number of the celebrations of life, and where we meet in a village hall or a pub or a hotel or something like that, and those are very special, because by then sometimes families they're not quite so grief stricken. They are a little bit more able to partake in something like that when because the sort of
mm,
initial shock or sadness has diminished a little bit.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but not everybody does that, and I think
No.
yes, it's a shame. It is a shame.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So So you've kind of gone the full kind of gambit of bringing people into the world and then seeing them out of the world at the end. It's the anamkara, isn't it? It's
Yes.
the the wise woman who does that in the village.
Yeah, yeah. I think you mentioned Anam Cara on one of the medicine wheels, and I hadn't heard the term before, and I thought, oh, actually, maybe that is what I've done. I have been there at birth and at death and in between, and it's
Mm,
it's been an amazing, perhaps when you're in it, you don't see it, but when you look back and you think, oh, yeah, I have had I've been fortunate and blessed to have been able to have walked alongside people as they've faced whatever that is.
yeah,
And it's quite a thing, feels quite a
it
thing.
is. It
Mm,
is, and I think also, when it's a mini death anyway. When you give birth, it's a mini death to the old you.
yeah,
So what a beautiful thing to be able to, and these are rites of passage, of course, from maidenhood to motherhood is a rite of passage. And the biggest rite of passage that we can make is from this world to the next, wherever that might be. We don't
yeah,
know, but it's like, what a beautiful thing to be able to assist people on that journey. And of course, you have to have done that yourself in order to be able to do that.
yes, yes, yeah. I think when you're saying about that rite of passage into motherhood, it's interesting how many people think that they'll just carry on being who they
Mm,
were. They might have a baby now, but they're still going to do X, Y, and Z because that's what they've always done. And they have very little understanding of um, what they're having to give up to become a mother. And I think sometimes women do struggle with that, because it
mm,
is like a death to the person that they were before,
yeah,
which is, but that's
yeah,
what you do, isn't it? That's part of what you give up to be able to nourish and grow a baby. Um,
yeah.
so, interesting.
But it is interesting that because you hear that all the time. Oh, I'm not gonna let this baby get in the way of my life. And actually, the baby has something to say about that. It's
Exactly.
always, it's like,
Exactly.
and it's a beautiful responsibility to grow another human being into the world and care for it and watch it grow and watch it develop and blossom into the next generation.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes, yes. As we say in the when we open sacred space about our children's children, and
mm,
it was again when I was going around the wheel, and some words really resonate, don't they? And
mm,
our children's children, and I'm thinking, yeah, our children's children, they are our future, just as
yes,
our ancestors are our past. And it's like
yeah,
we need to care for them. We need to
yes,
care for them and grow them and love them and show them what being a human and a guardian of this earth is all about.
mm,
So yes,
yes,
fascinating.
yeah. And it, in a way, for me, it's just about, well, Jess, it's about being a model, the model of the kind of person that you want your children and your children's children to see. As a grandma now, for example, you are too.
Yeah,
It's like, how do I want my grandchildren to experience me as a grandmother? You know, just as how do I want my children to experience me as a mother? And I
yeah.
don't think we ever give up those roles anyway. We just,
Uh,
uh, yeah, hold them lightly. But yeah,
I
it's a,
think a grandmother is such a gift,
yeah,
because it's almost like you're not immediately in it. They, as you are as a mother, you see it from
mm,
with a slightly stepped back, bigger
mm,
vision somehow. That's what it feels like to me. But
yeah,
yes, it is a gift.
yes. And this is going back to your book in a way, because this is the wisdom of the lineage of women that passes down through into the next generation. And I think you said your book is like your legacy, and I think that's exactly it. That's that legacy that you are gifting other women, um, as they make their transition from into motherhood and
Yeah,
beyond. Mm.
yeah. That's my hope. Um,
Mm.
I feel very aware of for what is available within the medical system, and the support that is available, um, to women as they are having their antenatal appointments and
Mm.
their birth, um, and so one of the things that I've just completed is a course because it's known that women who are supported in birth, particularly just looking at birth at the moment, but tend to have better outcomes because they don't have the fear, because they are with somebody who loves them, who supports them, who can speak for them if that's necessary, who can yeah, who champions them. And I just, they don't get that from going into hospital and having a midwife who's, you know, beautifully qualified and compassionate and all of the things that she needs to be, but she's a stranger.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I I know that being a doula is offers women so much support. Um, and they're highly skilled and have many um, skills within what they're able to share with their women. But of course, they come at a cost, and quite a big
Yeah,
cost. And
yeah.
um, so the course that I just written is about sharing information and techniques and ways of being, trying to teach presence and holding space and being grounded and listening, those sort of skills for women's partners or their mothers or their sisters or their best friends or whoever wants to be their birth support, so that
Mm,
um, so that they get the best of
mm,
having somebody who knows them, who has who's learned some techniques that they're able to share, to be able to allow the woman to really um, tap into her body, to go into that space where she needs to be able to birth her baby.
mm,
And it's again, that's been something that's come through my book, because it just, well, how can we really support women? How can we really offer that support? And of course there are many friends and family who want to do that. They want, they love their woman, and they want to to do the best that they can for them, but they just don't know how. And
mm,
how, when the woman doesn't need anything, or she wants quiet, being okay to sit in quiet without having to fill it with
yes.
noise, and being okay with that. You know,
Mm,
because it can be a bit scary when it's super quiet, can't it? So
yeah.
yeah, so that's something that I've just been working on as well, because I feel
Yeah,
passionate about this. Yeah.
and also if this could be part of every antenatal um, group, without, like you say, the cost of having a doula, but teaching the partners how to be that quality of presence
Yeah.
would be such, because that presence is golden in that moment. You
It
don't
is.
need somebody to come up with all kinds of solutions and doing stuff.
No.
Sometimes you just need that I'm here for you,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that.
One of the, I don't know where it's come from, but it's like, being there, that she can find you even when her eyes are closed.
Mm,
Just having that awareness that there's your person is with you, even if you
mm.
can't see them, but And I just think being able to be that person for someone is a real, again, it's a gift, isn't it? It's a
It
huge
is
gift.
a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift anyway, and it's something that is transferable. You can teach somebody how to do that, because that's my work as well.
Yeah.
It's just, the simple quality of presence that you can bring to anybody is very healing.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a gift though. And it's something that I've seen in you anyway since the beginning. I remember watching you in the very first medicine wheel you did, in the south, the west, the north, the east, and that ability to just sit with somebody without trying to fix them is is a seed that is in you already.
Oh, really? I
Yes,
didn't know I'd been seen.
yeah, you have been seen. Yeah,
Oh, lovely.
yeah. I think yeah, I remember very well. Um, sometimes as a team we talk about what we're seeing in the class, and that would have definitely come up more than once about the quality of presence that you held. And we put it down to the fact that you were a midwife anyway. But I think this that seed in you. Well, I believe we've all got a seed planted in us when we come here, and then we spend years kind of covering it up, pretending it's not there, and then eventually, our soul takes us on this path. We just say yes. We don't know why we're saying yes to that course or that, stepping stones, isn't it? And
It
it's,
is.
yeah, that's what I heard you saying earlier. It felt like stepping stones to bring you where you are now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've
feeling
tripped
that.
off a few of those, but I think it's been, it is having that it's okay to say yes, even if you don't know what you're saying yes to. And again,
Yes,
part of your teaching, isn't it?
yes,
The hummingbird, isn't it? They take
mm,
that journey even though they don't know where they're heading.
yes,
Um,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
and it's, having been able to do that, and had, almost given myself the permission to be able to do that, has just, yeah. Now looking back, I think, gosh, I've had the the good fortune to experience some really amazing things.
I
Um,
think it's not good fortune. I think it's courage.
how do you,
I think it's courage because you need courage to be able to take those steps without really knowing what the end result would be.
yeah,
It's courage. And that
yeah,
comes from the heart, you know? It's like, I know this is somehow right, even if I don't know, even I don't know where it's taking me, you know? But
yeah,
part of you knew. I think that's why in Peru, when you're saying, I don't know why I'm here, I don't know, no, no, I think I know, I knew that part of you must know because you were there. So,
yes. Well, looking back, yes. At the time, no. I didn't know. I mean, again, the sort of the synchronicity of that was that when I first contacted you, you were in Lake Titicaca because you sent me a message. You said, I'll be in touch when I get home. I'm in Lake Titicaca. And I thought, where's Lake Titicaca? I'd never heard of it. Terrible person I am. But it was like, and yet a year later, I was there with you. And
yeah,
and I think that somebody had not been able to join you. So a place became available. I suddenly was given some money, and it all just happened. And
synchronicity.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. But it was
Mm,
like I was just still catching up with all of that when we sat in that garden with the hummingbirds. And
yeah. Well, I have to say that, I've watched you from the sidelines for all these years and watched the it's been inspiring, Annie, because you've written your book, you've shifted your life from where it was to where it is now. You've rewritten your book. Yeah, and it's like what an inspiration that is to go from where you were to where you are now. Yeah,
thank you.
so
But it,
yeah.
but it is, having had that sort of synchronicity and meeting you and diving into the wheel and just being blown away by what I witnessed, and have witnessed, working alongside people with the energy
Mm,
medicine, but also to be held in the community of of the
mm,
of the wheel, being
mm,
accepted, not judged, being loved, being welcomed for everything that I was, carrying at the time that we all carry, being seen. All of those things have enabled me to, I don't know, step forward somehow.
mm.
And that is such a big part of the wheel, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Unity of
It
it.
really is, yeah. Because when you bring together a community of people and the intention is everybody's intention is for healing or learning these incredible processes that take you on a journey, everybody's mm, making relationships. For me, it's all a relationship building. Everything is about relationship, whether it's a relationship with others, with yourself, with nature, with the trees, with the land. It's all about relationships. And I think that when people come together in a community and do what we do, there's something really beautiful about how that unfolds, how people feel safe enough to unravel
Hmm.
what doesn't work and reconstruct themselves from the seed that they already had. It's not like people change completely into someone else, although it might feel like that.
Mm.
But it's becoming the person you were always meant to be, and
Mm.
and that's what I love about it. I
Mm.
remember your daughter Jessie
Yeah.
said once,
It's just
I
thinking the
want
same
you to
thing.
go back to Amerdown and get my mother back, please.
She did. She didn't like that. Yeah. And more than that, on my first West class, calling my mum on her birthday, and in those days there was no phone signal. We had to walk down the drive to get a phone
That's
signal.
still,
Yeah.
it's still like that.
Oh, it's still like
How
that.
did-
Yeah.
yeah.
And calling my mum and wishing her a happy birthday, and she said, "Oh, I said, what are you going to do?" And she said, "Oh, I've got a lovely day because Annie's coming home today." And I said, "But I am Annie." And she went, "Are you?" It's like she didn't recognize who I was speaking to her. And yes, and Jess said, "Send my real mum home." And the horse didn't recognize me. Yeah, I mean, it's like really interesting to sort of
Oh,
just notice um,
mm,
that other people were getting a sense that I was different, the
yeah,
difference that I was feeling inside. And
mm.
I've never let Jess forget that.
Well, I can tell that you have a really good relationship with her. So it's like,
I do.
yeah,
Yes, it's
brilliant.
had its rocky times, but it's good. It
Mm,
is very good. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Right. Well, and we have to come to the end of this podcast,
Thank
Annie,
you.
and I'm sad because I could talk to you for hours. I think it's just, yeah.
Should we do it tomorrow?
So
No, it's been
yes,
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you,
yeah.
Chris. It's been
Thank you.
lovely to share, and thank you for everything that you've done that's enabled me to be who I am now. Because
Oh,
yeah, it's
well,
been
it's
such a wonderful thing to know you.
oh, thank you. And it's been lovely to walk side by side with you for some of that journey as well. And it's
Thank
been a pleasure. So
thank you
yeah,
so
stay in
much.
touch. Let me
Yeah,
know what
I will.
happens with that course that you're.
Yeah,
I would love to see that course in the
I
NHS.
know. I think that's an amazing idea. Wouldn't that
Yeah,
be great? Yeah, thank you.
yes, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, lots of
All
love
right.
and
Yeah, thank
thank
you so
you.
much. Bye bye
Right,
now.
bye, bye,
Bye.
bye.